Hello everyone. This video is part 9 for the past year NEET questions on the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation. So let's start. The first question that was asked in the year 1996. Barr body in human female is produced or is formed by what? Is it formed by inactivation of paternal X chromosome, inactivation of maternal X chromosome, inactivation of both the X chromosome, inactivation of either the paternal or the maternal X chromosome? So what is a Barr body? Barr body is where in female, you have two X chromosomes. So one of the X chromosome is randomly inactivated. Okay, so what is the right answer? Right answer is Barr body in human female is formed by inactivation of either the paternal or the maternal X chromosome. Okay, this is completely a random event. According to the principle of dosage compensation, one of the two X chromosomes in a female are inactivated at random. Okay, the inactivate X chromosome appears as the Barr body. So the right answer is D, inactivation of either the paternal or the maternal X chromosome. H.J. Muller was awarded the Nobel Prize for his discovery that chemicals can induce gene mutation, discovery that ionizing radiations can induce gene mutation, work on gene mapping in Drosophila, or efforts to prevent the use of nuclear weapons. So what was the reason that H.J. Muller was awarded the Nobel Prize? It's very important that you should remember the name of the scientist and what they did. So H.J. Muller was awarded the Nobel Prize for discovery that ionizing radiations can induce mutations in the gene. Okay. H.J. Muller study of effect of radiation on the living organisms. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for discovering that ionizing radiations can induce mutations in genes. So the correct answer here is B. Barr body in mammals represent. So again it's a question on Barr body but in a different way. So Barr body in mammals represent all the heterochromatin in female cells, Y chromosome in somatic cells of females, all heterochromatin in male and female cells, one of the two X chromosome in the somatic cells of the female. So what is the right answer? Barr body represents one of the two X chromosomes in the somatic cells of the female. A Barr body is one of the X chromosomes in somatic cells of the female. If there are more X chromosomes, then there will be more Barr bodies. Okay, so only one X chromosome will be present, the rest will be converted to Barr bodies. So the right answer is D. The polytene chromosome were discovered for the first time in Drosophila, Chironomus, Musca nubula, Musca dementia. So what is the correct answer? It is a very subjective question. So polytene chromosome are also called as gigantic chromosomes. Okay, polytene chromosomes are also called as gigantic chromosomes. They consist of numerous parallel identical chromatids due to repeated duplication without division. Okay, so there is multiple duplication but there is no division. That is why it consists of numerous parallel identical chromatids. They were first time observed by Balbiani in the salivary glands of Chironomos. So the right answer is B. A fruit fly exhibiting both male and female trait is what? Previous parts have also seen such kind of questions but in a different way. So a fruit fly exhibiting both male and female traits. Okay, both male and female traits. Is it heterozygous? It is gynandomorph, hemizygous or gynander. So what is the right answer? The right answer is gynandromorph. Okay, a fruit fly exhibiting both male and female trait is gynandromorph. A gynandromorph is an organism that contains both male and female characteristics. Okay, it is very important that you remember it contains both male and female characteristics or traits. These characteristics can be seen in butterflies, where both male and female characteristics can be seen physically because of sexual dimorphism. A gynandromorph can have bilateral symmetry, one side female and one side male, or they can be mosaic. Okay, a case in which the two sexes aren't defined as clearly. So the correct answer here is B. Sex is determined in human beings by ovum at time of fertilization, 40 days after fertilization, 7th to 8th week when genitals differentiate in fetus. So it's a very easy question. So what determines the sex in human beings? Sex is determined in human beings at time of fertilization, when the sperm fuses with the egg. Depending on if the sperm has X, it will be a female, and if the sperm has Y, it will be a male. So sex of human body is determined by karyotype of zygote or fertilized egg. Sex of the baby depends upon the sperm which fertilizes the ovum, and if this sperm is X, it is a female, and if this sperm is Y, it is a male. So the right answer here is B. Thalassemia and sickle cell anemia are caused due to problem in globin molecule synthesis. Okay, select the correct statement. Both are due to quantitative defects in globin chain synthesis. Thalassemia is due to less synthesis of globulin molecules. Sickle cell anemia is due to a quantitative problem of globin molecules. Both are due to qualitative defects in globin chain synthesis. So what is the right answer here about thalassemia and sickle cell anemia? The right answer here is B. Thalassemia is due to less synthesis of globin molecules. Okay. Thalassemia is a quantitative problem of synthesizing very few globin molecules, while sickle cell anemia is a qualitative problem of synthesizing an incorrectly functioning globin. Okay, so you must remember this because there can be questions from this part. So you must remember the solution that thalassemia is quantitative problem. Why is it quantitative? Because the quantity is less. Okay, because very few globulin molecules are formed. Whereas in sickle cell anemia, it is a quality problem of synthesizing an incorrectly functional globulin molecule. So the right answer here is B. A disease caused by an autosomal primary non-disjunction is it Klippenter syndrome, Turner syndrome, sickle cell anemia, or Down syndrome? So what is the answer? The answer is D. It is Down syndrome because it is caused by an autosomal non-disjunction. So Down syndrome is caused by non-disjunction of 21 chromosome, that is trisomy. Therefore, 21 chromosome is present in 3 copies. Okay, and this is called as the trisomy. So a disease caused by autosomal primary non-disjunction is D. Down syndrome. Which one of the following most appropriately describes hemophilia? Okay, so most appropriately describes hemophilia. Recessive gene disorder, X-linked recessive gene disorder, chromosomal disorder, or dominant gene disorder. So what is the correct answer for hemophilia? The correct answer is B. It is an X-linked recessive gene disorder. Okay, so hemophilia is an X-linked recessive gene disorder. Hemophilia A and hemophilia B are inherited in an X-linked recessive pattern. The genes associated with these conditions are located on the X chromosome, which is one of the 2 sex chromosomes. In males who have only one X chromosome, one altered copy of the gene in each cell is sufficient to cause the condition. Okay, for example, let's say this is for hemophilia. So in males, only one copy is enough to cause hemophilia. Okay, one altered copy in each gene is sufficient to cause the condition because this is an X-linked disease. In females who have two X chromosomes, a mutation would have to occur in both copies of the gene to cause the disorder because it is a recessive gene. Okay, it is a recessive linked disease. So both the copies must be present, that is only when the disease is caused. If the genokaryotype is this, then there is no disease taking place. Okay, this is because it is an X-linked recessive disorder. Because it is unlikely that females will have two altered copies of these genes, it is very rare for females to have hemophilia. Okay, and it is very easy for men to generally have it because they just need one copy. A characteristic of X-linked inheritance is that fathers cannot pass X-linked traits to their sons. Why fathers cannot pass it to their sons is because a father will always give the Y chromosome to their son. Okay, that is how, this is very important statement that you should remember. A characteristic of X-linked inheritance is that fathers cannot pass the trait to their sons, which is very important. And coming back now to the question, hemophilia is an X-linked recessive gene disorder. So the correct answer here is B. So pick out the correct statements. Hemophilia is a sex-linked recessive disease. We just did this question. Down syndrome is due to aneuploidy. We also did a similar question. Phenylketonuria is an autosomal recessive gene disorder. Sickle cell anemia is a X-linked recessive gene disorder. So hemophilia is a sex-linked recessive disease. This is true. Down syndrome is due to aneuploidy. This is also true. Phenylketonuria is an autosomal recessive gene disorder. This is also true. The only wrong statement is sickle cell anemia is an X-linked recessive gene disorder. So the correct answer will be D. 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Okay, because sickle cell disease is inherited in an autosomal recessive pattern. It is not a sex chromosome linked disease. It is not an X-linked recessive disorder. It is inherited in an autosomal recessive pattern. Okay, so the correct answer here is D. So this is now the pedigree analysis. You should definitely know how to read the pedigree analysis, and I'm sure you know it, right? If it's an empty, which means unaffected. If it's colored, it is affected. Round is for females, square is for males. In the following human pedigree, the filled symbols represent affected individuals. Identify the given pedigree. So, these kinds of questions can definitely come in the NEET examination, and sometimes they can be quite tricky and difficult to answer. So, there are certain things, that you should try to remember, and then you can really answer these questions. So if you look at the options, they ask if it is an X-linked recessive, if it is an autosomal recessive, if it is X-linked dominant, or if it is autosomal dominant. So the best way to answer this question is by negating as many options as you can. Okay, so let's talk about the X-linked disease. So let's first talk about X-linked recessive. So whenever there is an X-linked recessive disorder, the affected father will not produce affected sons. Okay, so here you see is an affected father, and here you see is an affected son. But in X-linked recessive disorder, affected father will not produce an affected son. Okay, because he will give the Y chromosome. So the X chromosome will be from the mother, and here the mother is not affected. Okay, so you can easily negate out the X-linked recessive. Similarly, you can also negate out X-linked dominant, because all fathers affected by X-linked dominant disorders will have affected daughters but not affected sons. And again, there is an affected son. So the X-linked disorders can be easily negated. And next is if it is autosomal recessive or if it is autosomal dominant. So you see here the options, like this person is affected. So now we have only two options, autosomal recessive or autosomal dominant. So this person is affected, the female is affected, and the male is not affected. And if you look at the progeny here, none of the progeny is affected. So what does this mean? This means that it is an autosomal recessive disorder. Okay, because if it is not an autosomal recessive disorder and if one of the parent is affected, then definitely the kids will also be affected. Okay, so that is how it is. So what will be the genotype here? It will be this, and then here will be this. So it is an autosomal recessive disorder. And then here all of them will be carriers. And that is why again, in the next generation, two of them will be affected and one won't be affected. Okay, so that is how you have to answer such kinds of questions. So the right answer here is autosomal recessive, or option number B. So try to answer these questions by negating as many options as you can. So autosomal recessive is a type of disorder in which two copies of an abnormal gene must be found for the disease in the affected person. So two copies of the gene must be formed in the affected person. So the right answer is B, autosomal recessive. So a color-blind man marries a woman with a normal sight who has no history of color blindness in her family. What is the probability of their grandson being colorblind? So what is the best way to answer these kind of questions is to write it down. So a color-blind man marries a woman with a normal sight, who has no history of color blindness. And then if you do this cross, you will find that there is no color blind child, only a carrier female. So what is the probability of their grandson? So now you will cross this carrier female because that is the only person that can give it to the next generation. This carrier female again with a normal man, and you see these are the four options here. So only one of the child or one of the grandson will show color blindness. Therefore, so 1 out of 4 into 100, which is 25%. So the right answer is 0.25. Okay. So the right answer is C. Sometimes they can also ask you in terms of percentage. So it is very easy to calculate, obviously. So the right answer is C. So the best approach to answer these questions is always to write it down. A pleiotropic gene. We have seen multiple questions in all the videos on pleiotropic genes. A pleiotropic gene is a gene evolved during Pliocene, or it controls a trait only in combination with other gene, controls multiple traits in an individual, is expressed only in primitive plants. So what is a pleiotropic gene? A pleiotropic gene is a gene that controls multiple traits in an individual. Okay, that is why it is called as pleo, because it controls multiple traits. A pleiotropic gene regulates multiple traits or characteristics in an individual. So the right answer is C. So we will be uploading more videos with further questions from this chapter. Thank you for watching the video.